All right, real talk. So, you've been spending time with her, building a connection, getting closer, but somehow you're still stuck in that frustrating friend zone. Everything feels comfortable, easy, natural, but romantic, still not there. Now imagine this. What if there's a natural way to shift that dynamic without making things awkward, without looking desperate, and without risking the friendship you've already built? That's exactly what we're diving into today. I'm Teal Swan. Welcome back. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 6 simple moves that naturally turn a friendship into something more. No manipulation, no games, just subtle shifts in how you show up. These shifts create attraction that was already possible. It just wasn't activated yet. They work because they're grounded in real psychology. And when you apply them with confidence and authenticity, the entire energy between you changes without breaking what you've built. Let's get into it. 1. Shift from predictable to intriguing. Here's the honest truth about why the friend zone happens. And it's not what most people think. It's not that she doesn't find you attractive. It's not that the connection isn't real. It's that you became completely readable. She knows your schedule, your habits, your opinions, how fast you reply, how available you are, and that level of familiarity, no matter how warm it is, doesn't create romantic tension. It creates comfort. And comfort, as nice as it feels, is not the same as attraction. Attraction needs a bit of uncertainty, a small gap between what she knows and what she's still wondering about. But for most guys in this situation, that gap doesn't exist because they've been an open book from the start. The shift begins when you become slightly less predictable, not cold, not distant, not fake, just naturally less available. If you always reply instantly, it sends a quiet message. Her message is always your top priority. But when there's a natural delay because you have your own life going on, it breaks that pattern. She feels it, even if she can't explain it. The same goes for your routine. If every weekend looks the same, occasionally have plans you don't fully explain. Not because you're hiding something, but because a man with a full life doesn't narrate every detail. The goal isn't to play games. The goal is to return to the version of yourself that was already interesting but got buried under constant availability. Mystery isn't something you fake. It's what happens when you start living fully again. 2. Introduce physical tension naturally. This is where most guys make the biggest mistake and it keeps them stuck. All physical interaction stays completely platonic. The quick side hug, the casual high five, the friendly shoulder tap, all of it communicates comfort, but nothing more. And comfort alone doesn't change a dynamic. It just maintains it. The shift happens when your physical contact starts to carry a different energy. Not aggressive, not sudden, not awkward, just intentional. The difference is subtle, but she feels it immediately. A hug that lasts just a second longer than usual. A hand placed on hers while you're talking, held just a moment longer than a friend would. A light touch on her arm with eye contact that doesn't instantly break. None of these are dramatic, but all of them create a question in her mind. Did that feel different, or am I imagining it? That question is where romantic curiosity begins. She won't say anything, but she will start paying closer attention. And that attention changes how she experiences every interaction after that. What makes this work is the pace. Start small, stay natural, never move faster than the moment allows. A man who rushes signals anxiety. A man who moves slowly and deliberately signals confidence, and confidence is what makes the touch mean something. Most guys try to do more, but the real move is slowing down. 3. Playful flirting. This is where things start to shift emotionally. Safe conversations feel good, but they don't create attraction. And that's exactly why staying in that safe zone keeps you stuck as just a friend. Most guys play it neutral because they don't want to risk the friendship. So every interaction stays easy, polite, and comfortable. And yes, she appreciates that. That's why the friendship works so well, but that's also why it never becomes anything more. Playful flirting changes that it communicates without saying it directly that you see her as more than a friend, that there's a spark there, and you're not pretending it doesn't exist anymore. And when that signal is delivered with confidence, not awkwardness, it's often the first thing that makes her start seeing you differently. Teasing is especially powerful when you notice something small about her and call it out in a playful way, not mean, just light and confident. It creates a moment that feels personal, something you don't do with just anyone. And that's the key, because when something feels specific to her, it feels like real attention, and that's attractive. Balance it with a genuine compliment, and now the interaction has depth. A little challenge followed by something warm and real. She laughs, she reacts, she engages, and suddenly the energy between you feels different, not just comfortable, but exciting. That feeling stays with her after you leave. And that's what starts changing how she thinks about you. 4. Let her see that other women value you. There's a simple psychological truth. People value what others also want. Attraction works the same way. When she sees you as just a friend, part of that comes from a quiet assumption that you're always there, available, interested, not going anywhere. And while that feels safe, it removes a key ingredient attraction needs: the idea that someone else might want you to. This isn't about making her jealous or showing off. That never works. It just feels forced. This is about letting her naturally notice something that's already true, that other women find you interesting. The best way to do this is casually, not as a brag, not as a performance, just something that comes up in conversation. For example, you're talking and you say, "Hey, I wanted your opinion on something. A girl at my gym asked if I was seeing anyone and I wasn't sure what she meant. Do you think she was just being friendly?" You're not showing off, you're asking for her perspective, but at the same time, you've planted a powerful idea in her mind. That another woman noticed you, found you attractive, and was interested enough to ask. She'll answer you, but more importantly, she'll think about that image. And slowly, she starts seeing you differently, not just as someone available, but as someone desirable. That shift is everything. 5. Compliment her in ways nobody else does. This is something that never gets old. Women love compliments. But here's where most guys get it wrong. They think a compliment is just saying something nice. You look great. You're funny. And yeah, those are fine. But they don't create real impact. Why? Because she hears those kinds of compliments all the time. They don't require you to actually know her. They could be said to almost anyone. And when a compliment could be said to anyone, it doesn't make her feel truly seen. It just makes her feel noticed. And there's a big difference. What actually creates attraction is specificity. A compliment that's so personal it could only be said to her. Something that shows you've been paying attention. For example, instead of saying, "That was cool," you pause and say, "You know something I've noticed about you? You have this ability to make people feel comfortable even in situations where most people would struggle. I don't think you realize how rare that is." That hits differently because now you're not just complimenting her, you're recognizing her. You're showing her that you see who she really is beyond the surface. And that feeling of being truly seen, that's one of the strongest triggers of emotional attraction. The key is to keep it natural. Say it like it just came to your mind because ideally it did. No overthinking, no performance, just real observation delivered simply. 6. Know when to make the move. Everything we've talked about leads to this moment. The mystery, the physical tension, the flirting, the social proof, the specific compliments, all of it builds the right conditions. But here's the truth. Conditions without action eventually fade. If you do everything right, but never make a move, you don't just stay in the friend zone. You create confusion, and that actually makes things worse. So, the real skill here is knowing when the dynamic has shifted, and the signs are usually subtle. She starts initiating more. Conversations last longer. She responds to your touch instead of pulling away. She asks more personal questions about your life. These aren't big, obvious signals. They're small, but consistent, and they show that she's leaning in, not pulling back. When you see that pattern, The move isn't some big dramatic confession. It's simple, calm, direct. You say something like, I'll be honest, I've started seeing you differently lately. I think there might be something here worth exploring. No pressure, I just didn't want to keep pretending I wasn't thinking about it. That's it. No long speech, no emotional overload, no pressure, just clarity. And clarity, when delivered calmly, is always better than staying unclear. Even if the answer isn't what you hoped for, you keep your dignity and you keep the honesty in the connection. That's always worth it. Because attraction that grows from a real friendship is powerful. It's not based on surface level impressions, it's built on truly knowing someone. And when romance enters that kind of foundation, that it creates something most people spend years searching for. But here's the most important part. None of these moves work if they're fake. The mystery has to come from a real life. The touch has to come from real confidence. The flirting has to come from genuine interest. The compliments have to be real observations. And the final move has to come from honesty, not desperation. That authenticity is everything. Women don't fall for tactics. They respond to men who show up genuinely. And these 6 moves are just what that looks like in action. Drop a comment below and tell me which move you're starting with. I read every single one. If this helped you, hit like, share it with someone who needs it, and if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. This is where men come to learn how women really think.